You don't hold frame with words. You hold it with your presence. And your presence is built on one thing, an unshakable core. You've seen it. The one who doesn't flinch, doesn't chase, doesn't raise their voice. They don't defend themselves. They don't over-explain. They don't react to tone, silence, or provocation. Why? Because they're not operating from emotion. They're moving from core. And when you have a core, you don't need to adjust to the room. The room adjusts to you. This isn't about being cold. It's about being centered, unmoved, undeniable. In this video, you'll learn how to build that core, so no one can shift your frame, collapse your calm, or access your power. Because once the core is set, nothing moves you. Part 1. Why most frames collapse under pressure. You've seen them. They speak with certainty. They hold eye contact. They seem in control. Until pressure hits, and suddenly, they over-explain. They flinch at silence. They shift tone. They defend their position. They collapse inward. Why? Because what looked like strength was surface behavior, not core stability. Most people build frame from the outside in. They think frame is good posture, lowering their voice, mirroring calm, pausing before they speak. And yes, those help. But if the core isn't stable, those behaviors are a performance, and all performance cracks under pressure. The frame isn't what you show. It's what you return to. Anyone can be composed for 3 minutes. Anyone can fake power in a safe room, but true frame, it's what happens when someone challenges you directly. You're excluded from the group. Someone questions your value. Silence lasts a bit too long. Praise disappears. In those moments, people either revert to fear or return to the core. And most people don't have a core to return to. If your frame is reaction-based, it will break. If your calm is based on their respect, it will collapse when they test you. If your posture depends on agreement, you'll shrink when challenged. If your silence is forced, you'll explode under pressure. Every frame based on environment will be broken by that environment. You don't need to build a better image. You need to anchor into a deeper identity. Because if your center is shallow, your surface will always crack. Part 2. What is the core and why it rules all behavior? The core is not a mindset. It's not confidence. It's not your voice, tone, or posture. The core is your internal operating system, the command center, the silent logic that governs how you move, speak, hold presence, especially when you're under pressure. The core is not what you show. It's what you believe without needing proof. Most people perform strength, but true strength is quiet. It's not seen, it's felt. You don't need validation to hold it. You don't need agreement to sustain it. You don't need an audience to activate it. The core is what remains when everything external is stripped away. What lives in the core? There are only 3 things that truly exist in the core. Identity. This is who I am. It doesn't shift when others disapprove. Authority. I give myself permission. I don't outsource my decisions. Stillness. Even in chaos, I return to neutral. I don't chase balance. I am balance. Everything else, tone, posture, logic, strategy, flows from these 3. The core governs all behavior. When someone disrespects you, if you have a core, you hold eye contact. say less, and let silence work. If you don't, you flinch, justify, and over-explain. When someone withdraws, with core, you stay still. Without core, you panic and pursue. When someone tries to bait you emotionally, with core, you observe. Without core, you fall into the frame and lose control. You're not using tactics. You're moving from identity. And that identity is the core. Core equals autonomy. When you have a strong core, you don't adjust to people. You set your rhythm. You don't try to match energy. You create field. You don't over-explain because your truth is anchored, not auditioning. People sense this. They back off. They speak more carefully. They respect the center of gravity you bring, because a strong core changes the room without saying a word. Your frame is not about dominance, it's about rooted presence. And nothing is more rooted than a man with a core he never has to explain. Part 3. 3 components of an unbreakable core. You don't build a strong core by accident. It's not a mood. It's not confidence. It's structure. And every unbreakable core is made of 3 interlocking layers: identity, clarity, internal authority, emotional containment. Let's break each one down. 1. Identity. Clarity. I know who I am. Most people don't have identity, they have personality, which means they shift depending on who they're with, how others feel about them, the vibe of the room. But identity is fixed. It doesn't require proof. It doesn't flex to please. It sounds like, I am not what they project onto me. Their silence doesn't alter my worth. I know what I bring. They don't have to see it. And from that clarity, you stop chasing perception and start holding presence. 2. Internal authority. I give myself permission. Most people outsource control. They wait for approval to act. They need confirmation before moving. They require reassurance to feel valid. But when you hold internal authority, you move without consensus. You speak without needing to be agreed with. You decide, then let the world adjust. No begging, no proving, no negotiating your standard. I do not explain who I am to feel safe. I operate, and the room responds. This is not arrogance. It's sovereignty. 3. Emotional containment. I feel everything, but leak nothing. The world wants access, not to your thoughts, to your emotional signal, but when you contain, you stay still under disrespect. You hold eye contact without escalation. You don't flinch, defend, or justify. You're not suppressing, you're preserving signal integrity. Because when your emotions are locked in, your words hit harder. Your silence becomes heavy. Your energy becomes magnetic. They don't know what you're thinking. They just feel the gravity, and that gravity comes from containment. Together, these 3 components form your core. Identity keeps you still under judgment. Authority lets you move without apology. Containment keeps your system sealed under pressure. That's what makes your frame unshakable, because it no longer depends on anything external. Part 4. Frame reclamation under attack. Anyone can hold frame when no one's testing it. But true power isn't proven in stillness. It's proven under fire. And when someone tries to shift your frame, you don't react. You don't defend. You don't chase. You return to the core. and hold. Common frame attacks. The silent withdrawal. They pull away just enough to make you reach. The subtle insult. Disguised as humor or sarcasm. The tone shift. Sudden drop in warmth to test your emotional reactivity. The frame challenge. Oh, you really think that makes sense? The comparison or undermining. Bringing up others to destabilize your position. Each of these is meant to do one thing: make you flinch, make you react, make you lose gravity. The wrong response. Frame panic. You explain. You rush to clarify. You laugh nervously. You shift your tone. You overcompensate. And just like that, your frame dissolves, because the moment they shift you off-center, they gain control. The right response, core reclamation. You don't counter, you center. Here's how. First eye hold. Keep eye contact steady, not aggressive, not submissive, just unwavering. 2. Breath control. Deep, diaphragmatic breathing signals. I'm not rushed, I'm not moved, I'm not reacting. Third thought, anchor. Internally repeat, this changes nothing. I return to core. Or, I am not here to convince, I am here to remain. Fourth, no motion response. Let the moment pass, then either hold silence, speak a sentence at 50% of their emotional energy, exit with dignity and no explanation. You're not shutting down. You're holding position, and that position recenters the entire room. What happens when you reclaim frame? They get confused, they overexpress, they start to doubt their own posture. They feel exposed because your stillness becomes a mirror. You didn't out-talk them, you out-rooted them. They thought they had leverage, but your calm made them unstable. You don't need to dominate the moment, you just need to not leave your center. Because the one who doesn't move controls the movement of others. Part 5. Daily practices to fortify your core. Your core isn't built once, it's reinforced daily, through small, deliberate rituals that anchor you deeper into clarity, control, and containment. You don't need 50 habits, you need a few unshakable ones. 1. The morning identity anchor. Start your day with 3 internal commands. I do not chase clarity, I generate it. I don't perform, I remain. I don't lose myself to environment, I set the tone. Speak them in stillness. No phone, no distractions, just you and your system. This sets your baseline frequency before the world has a chance to program you. 2. Frame holding drill, the 5-second rule. In every emotionally charged moment, pause, breathe, wait 5 seconds before reacting. This trains delay over impulse, strategy over reflex, containment over leakage. Over time, that 5-second pause becomes your strongest defense protocol. 3. The deconstruction journal. Each evening ask, where did I flinch today? What pulled me off frame? What would the unshakable version of me have done instead? Don't judge, just observe. Reconstruct that moment through your core. This rewires your system to behave from strength by default, not effort. 4. Practice strategic disengagement. Choose one conversation per day, where you walk away cleanly, no explanation, no reaction, no energetic residue. This trains the muscle of non-attachment and proves to yourself that silence is still power. 5. Hold eye contact during discomfort. Practice non-verbal stability, especially when someone disagrees, someone withdraws, someone tests your frame. Hold the gaze. Not to intimidate, but to anchor yourself. Let them speak into your stillness. Until they break their own tension, you don't rise to pressure, you return to core. And these practices, they're not habits, they're architecture. They keep you from leaking power, so that every word, every move, comes from the deepest part of you. Final CTA. You don't need to speak louder, you don't need to win arguments, you don't even need to defend your value. Because when your core is set, everything around you aligns. You walk into a room and people adjust. Not because you're trying to dominate, but because you're not movable. No energy leaks, no emotional exposure, no identity confusion, just presence, stillness, clarity. You don't need to prove who you are. You simply are. And that's what real power is, not how you act when things are easy, but who you remain when nothing is validating you.